I became Commissioner of Media and Entertainment in February of last year, so I've been on this job for about a year. And it's a very exciting time because we've expanded the portfolio of our office to not only, of course, include film and TV, which has always been the focus of the office, but now for the first time ever to include music and advertising, publishing, digital content, and real estate as it relates to the creative industries. The number of jobs in those industries I mentioned, whether it's film, TV, theater, advertising, music, or publishing, is 385,000 New Yorkers employed in those industries. That's more than the financial and insurance sectors combined in New York. So you're really seeing the diversification of the city's economy and how important media and entertainment portfolios are to New York City's economy and creative growth as well. And certainly with the opening of stages such as Silver Cup North in the Bronx, that is going to very much encourage more production in the Bronx, which is something we're really focused on. Because again, we want to not only show off the incredible locations and assets in all the boroughs, but we also want to bring the economic benefits of filming to the outer boroughs. Because it's certainly the small businesses around that neighborhood that really benefit from filming. I mean, film and TV production, it's a $9 billion industry for the city, employing 130,000 New Yorkers, but it's also about those small businesses, that deli, that dry cleaner, that restaurant that depends on filming to sustain their business. We launched this past year 5 women's initiatives. We launched a $5 million women's film fund where we're giving money both for film and theater actually, so for women playwrights and women filmmakers. We're actually the first government agency in the country that is investing in this kind of way in women filmmakers and playwrights. We announced a screenwriting contest that's open to women writers or works about women, where we're going to shortlist a couple of winners and we make a pilot out of it and air it on Channel 25, which we own and operate. We also announced we're doing a study on gender and how it affects the trajectory of female directors. So we're looking a lot at different gender inequities and how they can affect one's career. We also announced a new block of programming that we developed on our Channel 25, 2 new shows that are focused on women that we're really excited about, one called The Vanguard and one called Her Big Idea. So that's some of the programming that we're doing around women. We also launched a new program in the Green Initiative called NYC Film Green, because again, we recognize that filming can have consequences on communities, on neighborhoods, on the ecosystem of the city. And so NYC Film Green is basically the first green certification program in the country where we will give a green certification to productions that meet our sustainability requirements. So this is really thrilling because it's the first time the city has done something like this, and we're really positioning New York City as a leader in this regard. We paired up with the Writers Guild East to launch a Made in New York Writers Room where we're training diverse writers. This is a really terrific program where some of the best showrunners in the country, such as Beau Willimon, who developed House of Cards, is going to be giving one-on-one feedback to writers on their work. There'll be approximately 500 writers who can participate, and then there's a short list of fellows who get that one-on-one intensive mentorship. We just launched a program called One Book, One New York, where we're encouraging all of New York City to read one particular book. So this past week, we launched the program. We had a short list of 5 books that we announced. We paired a celebrity with each of the 5 books, and we partnered with BuzzFeed, who made videos of each celebrity promoting that particular book. And all through the month of February, people will be able to vote for which of the 5 books they want New York City to read. And the response has been tremendous. We have thousands of people every single day coming online to nyc.gov/onebook and voting. So this is really a terrific program focused obviously on literacy efforts, but also on supporting the independent bookstores throughout the city, because we know that they're under siege. Right now there's 1 independent bookstore in the Bronx. There's 1 in Staten Island. There are 50 in the city as a whole. We want to make every effort to be able to support them because we want to have a civic conversation about these various those books. And just in terms of the subject matters, all of these books, and they're books from Americana to A Tree Grows in Brooklyn to The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, all of these books really focus on issues of immigration and race, and in this political climate we're in, are certainly very timely books to be reading. We launched a program focused on CUNY's journalism school, where we gave a $1 million grant to the journalism school to train over 1,200 journalists in new media techniques. This program is really focused on the community and ethnic papers, because we know that 50% of New Yorkers are deriving their news from those community and ethnic newspapers, and yet from an economic standpoint, they're really struggling oftentimes. And I know we've all been and seen this in action, where you have a wonderful community newspaper, but the reporter has to wear so many different hats. They're both writing, they might be editing, they're the photographer, they're the social media person, and so it just becomes very difficult. And so what that grant does at CUNY's J School is it brings those individuals in, it teaches them new media techniques. We created actually a lab where people can do videos. It teaches them how to use some of these new media techniques so we can make those papers as competitive as possible in a very tough media environment. With virtual reality and augmented reality being such a hot field, we wanted to make sure that we as a city are supporting that. So several months ago, we announced in partnership with our sister agency, the Economic Development Corporation, that we were doing the first VR/AR lab. And so this first VR/AR lab that's supported by government money, I should add. And so this is really a very important step, because the city of New York is saying we're going to get behind that with public sector dollars. Right now, on any given day, there are 90 productions that are filming simultaneously in New York City. And I think one of the things that I'm really most proud of is the fact that with all of this filming, and with the fact that filming has never been higher in New York City, our complaints are extremely low. And so I used to chair Community Board 1 in Lower Manhattan. I chaired that board for 7 years. I intimately understand that minimizing the impacts of filming is critically important for our communities across the city. And so the fact that in any given month there are 1 million people who call 311 on all sorts of issues regarding education, sanitation, all different issues across the board. Of those 1 million calls, only 100 on average are complaints about filming. And I really attribute that to the fact that we have a terrific production staff here that endeavors to really minimize any kind of community impacts. We have a hiatus list so that if neighborhoods feel that they're being inundated on any particular block or groups of blocks, we're more than happy to look at that and to put a block on a temporary hiatus list for about 6 months. We are always interested in hearing from people. We want to make sure that we get feedback. We're always looking for new ideas and love to hear from New Yorkers on what projects are important to them and what they believe the city should be focusing on. We're always trying to make sure that on a grassroots community level, people are familiar with and interacting with the work that this office does. One of the things that is just wonderful about being a New Yorker and being involved in city government in New York is the passion and the dedication that people have. And so we see that time and time again. And so that's very exciting to see, and certainly around the efforts that we're doing, whether it's programs like One Book, where we've got these 5 books that focus on inclusion and exclusion and immigration and issues of race. We're really seeing people get behind that, wanting to have conversations about that, and so it's really emblematic of what New York City is all about.